Did you know that two-thirds of all mobile money transaction in the world happens in sub-Saharan Africa? Think about that for a moment. A continent that is often viewed through a narrow, outdated, or imbalanced lens by much of the rest of the world is actually pioneering the financial technologies that the rest of the world is scrambling to copy. When people think of tech innovation, their minds jump to places like San Francisco, not to Nairobi or Lagos. Today, we're going to flip that script and explore Africa's rising tech hubs and how they're not just participating in global innovation, but in many ways, leading it. African Silicon Valleys are not just knockoffs of Silicon Valley. They're building something different, something better. Let's break it down. Africa doesn't have just one tech hub. It's a massive continent, and each region brings its own strengths. Lagos, Nigeria is a fintech giant, home to Flutterwave, valued at $3 billion. Nairobi, Kenya created M-Pesa, which revolutionized mobile payments. Cape Town and Johannesburg, South Africa's financial centers, lead in e-commerce and insurtech. Cairo, Egypt is exploding with AI, e-commerce, and logistics startups. Kigali, Rwanda is innovating with drones, agritech, and green energy. Botswana is literally building a Silicon Valley from scratch, investing $60 million in infrastructure for over 100 startups. In 2023, just 4 countries, Kenya, Egypt, South Africa, and Nigeria, secured nearly 90% of Africa's startup funding. But what made these places so innovative? The answer, they didn't follow the traditional development path. In the West, tech often builds on legacy systems, landlines, physical banks, etc. In Africa, many of those systems never existed. So when mobile phones arrived, people skipped landlines entirely. The clearest example? Kenya's M-Pesa. It let people send money via text long before most even had bank accounts. Within 10 years, mobile money was mainstream. Here's the beauty in that. Without outdated systems, Africa built agile, efficient, and inclusive solutions. But let's not sugarcoat it. There are still major hurdles. Internet access remains low, about 37% in 2023, and power outages are frequent. Over 25% of Nigerian businesses report big losses due to electricity issues. So while a startup might be building world-class fintech, the founder could also be relying on a generator. Yet these very constraints shape innovation. In Western markets, startups compete over convenience, like shaving a minute off grocery delivery. In Africa, they're solving urgent needs. Zipline in Rwanda uses drones to deliver medical supplies to rural hospitals. M-Kopa lets families without electricity buy solar power on a pay-as-you-go model. These aren't just African versions of Western ideas. They're original solutions built for real challenges, and they're inspiring change globally. But it's not easy. In Silicon Valley, failing a startup is often celebrated. In Africa, failure can bring social stigma and gossip. Many young founders face pressure to stick to traditional jobs, provide for their families, and wait their turn. But here's the flip side. When things get tough, those family and community networks often provide the support system Western founders don't have. In 2022, Africa hit a record $6.5 billion in venture funding. SoftBank invested $400 million into Nigeria's Opay. From no unicorns to several in just a few years. This is real growth, but 60 to 70% of that funding is going to fintech. Other sectors and less connected regions still struggle to raise capital. And there's the big question, who's funding Africa's tech future? Investors from China, Europe, and the US are active. But local VC is still growing, and that matters, because whoever funds the innovation usually shapes its direction. Governments also play a big role. Kenya's success with M-Pesa, largely because regulators gave it room to grow. Rwanda is making it easier to do business, providing grants and regulatory support. But then there's the other side, Nigeria's sudden crypto crackdown or Cameroon's internet shutdown in 2017, both of which hit startups hard. Now here's the bigger picture. The innovations coming from Africa aren't just for Africa. Mobile banking systems, solar energy models, and telemedicine built here are being adapted worldwide. While other regions build apps for convenience, African startups are tackling the basics: power, water, health, education. By 2050, Africa will have the world's largest workforce. That's a huge opportunity, But to make the most of it, we need investment in infrastructure, education, and policies that empower entrepreneurs, not limit them. So what kind of tech future will Africa build? One shaped by locals solving local problems, or one controlled by outside interests treating Africa as just another market? So what do you think? Could Africa's model of tech innovation offer something better to the world?